What if a deadline for government agencies' audit came and went and no one noticed? Well, no one but ABC7's Matthew Smith, that is. He alerted county leaders about that very situation today and asked why the holdup. He joins us now with what he's learned. Matt.
Estella, I spoke with County Judge Veronica Escobar. She acknowledged that the Emergency Services District audit is very late, but she's more interested in getting her hands on it than punishing administrators and possibly prolonging the issue. Or is there any situation going on?
No, I think it just happened to be a coincidence.
That's Carlos Sandoval, the president of ESD number 2 back in June. He said his being called behind closed doors was nothing, but soon after it was learned he and a former commissioner were being investigated by the Sheriff's Department. But what about an audit that was due in June from ESD number 2? Back then, County Judge Veronica Escobar said she expected it to be quite revealing. Now?
Frankly, I think that's, if it's taken this long, there may be some issues there. I don't know.
That original audit was due on June 1st. ESD number 2 missed that deadline last year, too. And this year, they filed for a 30-day extension 4 days after the deadline. Then came July 4th. No audit and no mention of the missed deadline. And on the 20th, when I questioned both ESD members and the county judge, I was told another extension would be filed. Therein lies the problem. The state doesn't actually require any punishment, and while the county could levy one themselves for not filing out yet another extension, County Judge Veronica Escobar says she's more interested in hearing what, if any, wrongdoings have been taking place when she gets that final audit in her hands. I went to one of the fire departments to find out, but the doors were locked.
I'm looking for anybody from Emergency Service District number 2.
A quick phone call got me a hold of one of the ESD members who tells me the holdup lies in San Elizario and that their audit should be done in about 2 weeks. As for the extension, after I alerted ESD number 2 of the issue, one of their members told the judge they'll be filing an extension shortly. I talked with the sheriff and one of his detectives about the 2 members of ESD number 2 from this past fiscal year that are being investigated. I'm told at least one of them either is or should be before the district attorney for that case. Estella?
As Matthew Smith reports, it's an issue that's existed for years, but a solution hasn't been easy to find.
For a split second driving on R.C. Poe in East El Paso, you actually straddle the city-county border. This street, Turf Road, dead ends into Poe. It stretches about 0.6 miles, has around 25 homes and a few businesses. It's all county land, despite being surrounded entirely by the city of El Paso.
It's a county problem because it was caused by city annexation policies. And so the challenge has been in getting some city council people recognize that this is something that needs to be resolved.
Outgoing County Commissioner Ana Perez wants a change. If you look close, the city of El Paso is filled with holes like Swiss cheese. Some, like these off Zaragoza, are smaller. Others include entire communities. But Perez tells me that these left-behind areas are costly to service for the county, something she'd like to see the city take over.
These donut holes will be a problem, if not today, will be in the future.
When you actually stop looking at the maps and start driving Turf Road, that's when you really start to see the problem. You see this road, it's simply dead ends. You know, this really highlights the situation that you get with these areas. You know, the city's right here. You can even see the road, but completely blocked off. They call these donut holes, but those who live here, they tell me it's more like living on an island.
Every single side of us, the front, the back, in front of us, it's city. Houses have been built around us.
Rebecca Witter and her family have lived here for 15 years. They want to be part of the city. You literally are right. I mean, there's a road right there.
Yes, it is. So it's almost tempting us.
According to Planning and Development Director Matthew McElroy, it's not so simple. Back in 2009, City Council adopted a new annexation policy. El Paso only takes on annexation processes voluntarily, something all homeowners in an area need to agree to.
And so Turf Road estates would have to gather together and then petition the city for voluntary annexation.
But literally only feet away is the city. And literally only feet away they can connect to city infrastructure.
City water is just out of reach, but areas like this don't just affect the county. It can hurt the city too.
Connection of Pebble Hills is problematic. It's a major arterial that people have to go around right now because that's not part of the city.
McElroy admits it's problematic, but says the annexation policy was recommended because it assured quality annexations. Involuntary annexation isn't being used, and he doesn't foresee his department recommending that in the near future.
But they should. I think they should, because otherwise all of the county is left with having to deal with these problems. And the will of the entire county shouldn't be left to that one property owner that just doesn't want to cooperate.
In the meantime, some communities are waiting as the city continues to pass them by. Matthew Smith, ABC 7.
As things got heated, and Matt, what's the concern here?
Rick Estella, the sheriff tells me he's looking to keep efficiency up to help his department fight all sorts of crimes. But he says the help he's getting doesn't measure up.
Crime isn't just fought on the street. These days, crimes are combated behind the scenes. Facebook, Twitter, and other social media sites are just as important as informants. But El Paso Sheriff says help isn't being made available.
They cut off the IT person's access to Facebook. And then when we try to get it back because they don't work for us, the answer is no.
Commissioner Dan Haggerty was here when the county consolidated the entire IT department, a cost-cutting move that remains in place. He said it's worked before and questioned whether it was the bodies, not the job being accomplished, that was the issue here.
To give you 5 bodies because you have an agreement to have 5 bodies, as opposed to making sure Mr. Cooper does his job effectively, is wrong. If he isn't doing his job effectively, I need to fire him.
Wallace said he understands the IT department is swamped, but argued availability for help shouldn't come at the cost of fighting crime. The IT department said service is fine. The computer statistics show 92% of their cases with the sheriff's office end with rave reviews.
I mean, with today's technology, with the network and so forth, we can support them at their desktop. Sheriff's network is all managed from downtown.
And while the answers seem simple in court, Wallace said this cry for help was in fact a last resort.
You guys need to communicate here a little better. It ain't about bodies.
We have communicated. I've sat with him and discussed issues, and nothing's changed.
Fair.
So what do we do?
Making matters more of a concern, there is talk of expanding IT services throughout the city as part of a contractual basis. With so many concerns up in the air, the commissioners decided they will actually review this item in a later date.